In the program Spotlight, we now bring you a discussion on cabinet decisions. The participants are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Vinay Kumar, journalist.
Union Cabinet held its meeting today, which was presided over by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. At its meeting, the Cabinet took several important decisions. Three of these decisions relate to the infrastructure, telecommunication, and mobile towers. These are decisions which will go a long way in improving connectivity, in improving digital connectivity as well in the country. Shekhar, if we look at the cabinet decisions taken today, can we say these three decisions are important relating to infrastructure in several sectors, which will go a long way in improving quality of life of citizens?
Definitely, Vinayji, because the government of India under Prime Minister Modi ji has been giving a lot of thrust for, connectivity, whether it is land connectivity or whether it is, air connectivity or particularly mobile connectivity. And today's decision actually covers particularly the road connectivity and mobile connectivity, and also the importance being given to road connectivity in areas that are considered to be affected by left-wing extremism. And the reasons are very clear because already we had the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana 1, then 2, which has been extended today up to September of 2022, because basically completing the balance road and works. This is one. And the second decision is this road connectivity for left-wing extremist areas, which has been now extended up to March 2023. So that, the funds are not allowed to be lapsed and they can continue with projects that are already been taken. Now, these projects have very, very important dimensions, particularly it is the use of local material, use of local labor, and also close monitoring by the center and the state level. So that is important. And the other one is particularly, as you mentioned, concerning this mobile connectivity, because government is very keen, apart from the Bharat Net, which is trying to reach broadband services to nook and corner of the country. This is about providing 4G based mobile services in some 7,000 odd villages of what has been identified as 44 aspirational districts. But first, dealing with this road, the first Prime Minister Gram Sadak Yojana 1, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana 1, was to connect those unconnected settlements or habitations of population with a size of say 500 plus in plain areas and 250 plus in northeastern Himalayan states. Now, as far as left-wing extremist blocks the habitation, even if there are 100 people, 100 plus, the connectivity was decided. So what has happened is they had selected about 1,84,444 habitations under this Gram Sadak Yojana. Of them, only 2,432 have been left out. Rest have been completed. So that involves about 20,000 kilometer road length and about almost 1,900 bridges, which have to be completed. And this 20,000 figure, which is to be completed, is out of the total 6,45,000 kilometer, which was initially decided, which needed about 7,500 bridges. So now these projects will get completed. So that is the significance of today's cabinet decision. Now, under the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana Phase 2, the already existing rural road, whatever network, about 50,000 kilometers were to be upgraded. Now, in this also what has happened is 49,000 odd has been already completed. And some which are left out, that is about 4,000 kilometers remain to be completed, they will be completed. Now, what is the need for giving this extension to completion of works? Now, what we get to hear from the government side is majority of the pending works, whether it concerns the Gram Sadak Yojana Part 1 or Part 2, they are in the northeastern hill states, which were affected because of the COVID, the consecutive years that were affected due to COVID, and also because of the adverse weather condition, whether it is rain or harsh winter. So the states have been actually requesting, that please allow us to complete these projects because they relate to rural economy, because local labor is deployed, local resources are used. Therefore, the government has now given them a time up to September 2022 to complete the balance works. Vinay.
And Shekhar, in these LWE or left-wing extremist affected areas where roads are to be constructed, the center is pumping nearly 22,000 crores and the rest of the 10,000 crores will come from the states. It's a massive investment also, and if you remember, there is a list of aspirational districts also, and Prime Minister Modi himself personally monitors the implementation of some of the projects in these far-flung areas. So idea is to bring these far-flung areas onto the mainstream of major roads and highway networks in the country, and also to spur the development and such projects in left-wing extremist areas, because we know in Chhattisgarh also, if you see, there are areas in Bastar and the famous Abujmad area, which is nearly thousands of square miles. And since independence, nobody has bothered to even go there. So that is a very, very densely forested area where only, a couple of security operations, or let us say at the most half a dozen or a dozen security operations have taken place, that too by central paramilitary forces. So such is the inaccessibility of these areas. So there are other areas also, in Jharkhand, in Odisha, where this left-wing extremism problem, in Maharashtra also, where roads need to be built. So this will be a big shot in the arm for bringing connectivity and linking them to the main highway and state-level road network which are available now.
Definitely, Vinay, because, left-wing extremism has been viewed by the Ministry of Home Affairs as a problem that involves the socio-economic aspect as well as the security aspect. Now, security aspect is being dealt by coordination between the left-wing affected states. They have a common control command center which takes care of intelligence and does it. The other side, which involves the socio-economic aspect, which needs the security cover for rapid development of these areas. So that is why in 2016, this road connectivity project of left-wing extreme areas was taken up. In fact, they had identified 44 districts, which are most affected in 9 states. So in that, a number of things have happened, but today's cabinet decision is essentially to extend the scheme up to March 2023, because the balance of about 5,700 odd kilometers have to be completed, which requires construction of more than 300 bridges. So once this has been done, and now some areas have been identified both by the security forces and the local development authority, so which have resulted in now government giving clearance for another 1,800 kilometers to be completed with 40 more bridges. Now, the solution to left-wing extremism, as we have seen here, is one hand you have the ground forces operating where the security forces are on the ground, so that the development activity gets protection. Because one of the strategies which I have seen left-wing activism has been employing methods of disrupting the development activity because of these areas are inaccessible. The idea is the development works will have to be completed so that the roads are done, and since the construction of road itself will employ a lot of local labor, there is bound to be an economic activity which will help in curbing this left extremism. And importantly, in this Prime Minister Gram Sadak Yojana, as I mentioned earlier, this involves use of new technology in construction of road and green technology. So wherever possible, they are encouraging use of local available materials so that the whole thing is cost effective and promotion. And the whole idea is, even in the construction of road, the government of India is very committed to reduce carbon footprint so that the emission is controlled and our own commitment to climate is also maintained. And of course, the very fact that there is a quality assurance mechanism in this road construction activity, which is ensured that even if there is a delay in construction due to other reasons, that the government of India is willing to condone. But if it's the question of quality, we are seeing that the proportion of satisfactory works has increased because of this quality and better quality management, I would say, Vinay.
And Shekhar, another major decision was to expand the 4G network in many districts, because we all know how COVID has brought to the fore the digital connectivity, work from home, and in many far-flung areas where this connectivity was not there, many students also could not take online classes, and more people depend on digital connectivity for their banking needs, for making payments through their mobiles. So it is also very important to have 4G network footprint in all the districts. So that is also, I think, is one of the major decisions of the cabinet today.
Indeed, Vinay, this is a very, very important decision, and the government has sanctioned about 6,000 crore for this extension of mobile services, particularly 4G-based mobile services. And this will cover about 7,000 odd villages in the 44 aspirational districts, and particularly in 5 states, which are very big states, particularly Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, and Odisha. And the idea is, say, in 18 months, they want to cover as many places as possible, because this is basically what we'll see is there will be open bidding process and the private vendors will be invited to provide mobile services, particularly in these uncovered areas. As you mentioned, this will enhance the digital connectivity, particularly it will facilitate learning and skill upgradation, development, disaster management, and of course, e-governance initiatives, because the government is already doing BharatNet, which is to provide broadband services to our rural areas. So this is a very important thing because 4G services, particularly remote areas, and today, children, whether they are in the rural areas or in the urban areas, for them, the mobile is a tool of empowerment. So that is why this is a very important project. So whether it is a Sadak Yojana or this, these have a lot of impact on employment generation. When we are seeking big changes, whether it is the agriculture sector, health sector or education, this connectivity is something that actually helps in unlocking the economic potential. So we are bound to see overall efficiency in connectivity as well as improvement in the quality of life and ease of life, which is a primary concern of our Prime Minister.
Shikhar, connected with this decision was another decision for having mobile towers in 40 districts of some of the states. So that is also connected in a way with this 4G network decision. So these 40 districts will have mobile towers to improve the connectivity in these districts. That has also got the cabinet nod today.
Yes, in fact, the services itself will require construction of these towers, and which are very important to be set up. And that very fact, this activity, the economic activity of construction of towers in these remote areas is bound to generate some local employment, which is also a very welcome initiative in this regard.
And Shikhar, if you see, we were talking about left-wing extremism. So many left-wing Maoist cadres, when they attacked in states like Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh or areas of Madhya Pradesh, their targets used to be, mobile towers or the road culverts. I remember in Chhattisgarh, their common modus operandi was to blow up mobile towers and attack primary health centers and schools, which are the symbols of development.
Basically, the left-wing extremism needs a situation where there is lack of development for their sustenance. So they are generally opposed to development because if there is a development in a particular area, in some inaccessible areas, they feel then they are not able to spread their ideology. So that ideology is also where depends on exploitation of local people on the ground that, there is no economic revenue. But that is why, as you mentioned, the targeting of whether mobile towers or culverts, this has been a systematic. But what the government of India and coordination with these states have been trying to do is, wherever development activities are undertaken in this left-wing extremism affected districts, security cover is also provided wherever these construction activities are going on or maintenance activities going on, so that the contractors who undertake development works, they feel secure because they have to bring labor and sometimes employ local labor to do it, who are constantly intimidated by these left-wing extremists. That is why this today's cabinet decision to continue these activities to provide road connectivity is in fact to bring about more security in this region and also to bring about development, because development is the answer to all the problems in these areas, whether it is a health problem or lack of employment or even lack of education facilities, is all because of the connectivity issues.
And Shikhar, also the way we used to discuss about the digital cover, use of mobile, even in digitalization of land records, all this has happened because of digital connectivity. So these have now become symbols of primary development which the government can undertake, whether it is primary health center, because COVID-19 has shown that health infrastructure upgradation has to be taken on a war footing across such districts in the country, and as well as road infrastructure, because these are the primary developmental projects or aspirations which common people aspire for. And Prime Minister time and again has said that people have become very aspirational. So I think these decisions will be a stepping stone towards that direction.
Definitely, you see, today there is no part of India which will remain untouched by the progress of modern technology. As you said, our Prime Minister has been emphasizing use of technology for development, improving the quality of life. Today, the digital technology, as you mentioned, is a very important tool in the hands of government and in the hands of the common people.
Thank you, Shikhar, for shedding light on all these aspects of today's important cabinet decisions.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on cabinet decisions. The participants were Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Vinay Kumar, journalist.